the transmission is replaced now, but the oil pan the transmission oil pan is dented, so I want to replace that. And I'm going to take that chance to replace also the filter, transmission filter, the magnets inside of the transmission, and then one-time use bolts. I'm going to replace them as well. And then of course I'm going to replace the elastomer gasket also right here. So I've taken this plug out already, and I'm going to replace the plug as well. So the plug is out, but in order to be sure there's nothing inside the oil pan, I need to use a screwdriver or something to push the overflow tube out, okay? So I'm going to get a screwdriver and push the overflow tube out so that there's any excess fluid, it'll come, just kind of drop, and then we can take this oil pan off without making a big mess. Let's see if anything comes out. I don't think. Yeah, I think it's already been done because there's nothing coming out. So I think we're good. We shouldn't get much of a mess when we take this off, but if it wasn't drained, they would have to kind of knock off the overflow tube so that the rest of the oil will come out, and then there isn't much of a mess once we take this off. But I think it looks good, so we just go ahead and take it off. So before I take this oil pan off, these spacers here, they have little hooks on them, and it helps to hold of course when you put the bolts on them, then it helps to hold the oil pan to the transmission. So what I want to do is I want these spacers to go exactly where I took them from. When I take them off, I want to put them exactly where they're meant to go from factory. So I'm going to go ahead and label the spacers. Now there's the left hand side of the vehicle right here, so I'm going to label the first spacer on that side L1, and then the next one will be L2, and then L3, and this side will be R1, R2, and R3. That way I can put the spacers exactly where I took them from. So let me label that, and then I'll take the oil pan off. So this will be R1, R2. I don't even need to label. Well, I guess I need to. It's hard to label this. R. Okay. And then this side, I'm going to label L1, L2, and then L3. Okay. That way these spacers go back in exactly where they were before. And like I said, these bolts are one-time use bolts, so I'm going to replace all of them. They are torque to yield, I believe. Very lightweight aluminum bolts. So I'm going to wipe this. R1. Let me get my Ziploc bag and bag these bolts. Bagging all the bolts right here. Well, I'll do this side next, so the middle part can stay together and make it easier for me to take it off eventually, because I don't want the oil pan tilting and dropping oil on one side or the other. So I'm going to leave the middle bolts for last. I'm going to use my ratchet for that. I don't want to break the bolts. It's going to be painful to get out, so. I'm going to go back to using my impact now because this is a straight shot. The other one was kind of in an awkward spot. Oh, there you go. I'll give it a few minutes to drain so that the mess is not too big and we take the pan off eventually. I'll take off this one. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off now. Let me have some shop towel at the ready. I don't think it'll do much, but okay. And try and keep this as vertical as possible. Don't make too much of a mess. Oh, okay. You can see the overflow tube. We couldn't get it out. Still in there, but anyway, the mess wasn't too bad. I'm going to set this on the side. I want to show you guys something. Here is all this debris. This is what the magnet is meant to do. This is the magnet right here. It's the magnet right here. And it's meant to catch all these little particles so they don't go into the transmission to cause damage. So we're going to replace this filter, the overflow tube, the magnets, and then this seal here. Okay, this gasket. This is the good one. You can see it's not dented underneath. This is the old gasket. I'm going to replace that too. And then of course I'm going to replace the plug right here as well. So right now what I'm going to do is give this a good clean, really good clean in here. I'm going to use some shop towels to give this a good clean in here. And then I'll replace the magnets, and then I'll be back with you guys. We're not going to reuse this, but I'm going to put it back as a locator where to put the other one. I don't think it really matters because I know roughly where it goes. I'll just keep it there just for the sake of it. I'm not going to use any cleaning detergents because I feel like they have the tendency to thin the oil. So if I leave any residue of cleaning detergent here and the oil comes, transmission oil comes in here, it will react with it, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to clean it. That's it. So now we need to replace this. So let me bring my catch can underneath that and just kind of give that a wobble. And I have to say this, oh, it doesn't look good. But anyway, so this is all set. We need to just put a new one in there. All right, I'm gonna go get the filter. But before that, I want to give this side here a really good clean because this surface needs to be very clean to enable the seal to do its job properly. It doesn't look very clean, so you need to do a bit of cleaning on this surface here to get it ready. I don't want to put the filter here before I do that because I don't want any pieces to get on the filter. I really don't need any kind of scraper. I just need to give it a bit of I could use some sandpaper if I wanted to, but it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not terrible. So the worst part is in that corner right there. So I'm gonna get a bit of light in that corner and see what's going on there. But apart from that, everything else looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do, the corners, I don't like how the corners look. I'm gonna get some sandpaper and run it lightly over the edges here, the corners here, and get them looking a little bit better. The surface itself is fine, but I don't know, I don't really like how the corners look, especially these corners on the back side of the transmission. So let me get some sandpaper, maybe a 2000 grit or something. Just a little bit of cleaning here. 600 grit. And I forgot to turn the camera on, but I've done this side and I've done that side. And it looks pretty good. I'm just using 600 grit. Not too rough. It's doing a pretty decent job. I know I was talking about using 2000 grit, but I don't think that would have done it for me. I'm being very careful to steer away from the actual surface, the mating surface for the seal. I'm just doing the corners here. I'm not messing with the gasket surface. Surface where the spacer will go to do the corners. Looking pretty good. Now the last corner. Be very careful to stay away from the mating surface for the gasket. This looks much better now. I'm happy with this. Let me get some alcohol and clean this surface one more time. I'll call me here some 91% isopropyl alcohol. 91% isopropyl alcohol. Dissolve almost everything. Now I'm going to use some lint-free towel to clean the surface finally, and then be good to go. Getting the surface clean is very important for a good seal and to avoid leaks around the gasket. Okay. Now we're going to put the filter in. There's no more cleaning to be done, so the filter can go in. I have the filter here. I'm going to change my gloves. So I'm going to put some transmission fluid around the O-ring right here. Make sure it's well lubricated because I don't want to tear this O-ring while I try to install this. That won't be good. I'm going to put some in here. And put the filter in. That's it. So that's it for the filter. Now we can put the oil pan back. Now we need to put on the overflow tube right there, and then we're going to replace this plug as well, so we need to take this one off, but we can do that later. All right, we're ready to put this oil pan in. Before you seal off the transmission with the oil pan, here is something very important to note. Oftentimes, after doing a job like this, the car won't start. This is because the ECM needs a drive authorization from the transmission control module to allow the car to start. There are two ways of going around this no start issue. You can either program the donor transmission control module or swap the donor module with yours. Now the problem with swapping is the transmission control module sits on the other side of the valve body, so to replace it, you have to pull the valve body. If you are not comfortable doing this, please consult a qualified technician. If you want to attempt swapping, watch my video on how to swap the module. You will need a scan tool to perform the gear lever position adaptation and the module authorization process. So these volts torque to 4 Newton meters, which is about 2.9 foot-pounds. My torque range doesn't go that low, so I'm just gonna snug them down a little bit, okay? Not too much, just enough. I'm just going from experience right now because I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low. Unfortunately, I just went by feel for this one because, like I said, I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low, so I just went with experience. Well, the next thing I need to do would be to replace this here, but because I'm going to do a transmission fill later, I'm not going to worry about this now. So next, I'm going to install the shaft between the transfer case and the front differential. If you remember, I marked this, the front of this, at the rear of this R, and I marked the front F, okay? So it's going that way, and this is the front of the vehicle, okay? That side goes in the front. I'll do the other side. So I've got this ratchet here to help me counter hold this side here while I tighten the other side. And these tighten down to 40 Newton meters or about 30 foot-pounds. Let me clarify, the first stage of tightening is going 40 Newton meters or 30 foot-pounds of each of the bolts, and then doing another 90-degree turn on top of that. I'll go here, get this. Shaft is all done. Front propeller shaft is done. I'm going to go to the back one. All right, guys. So next I'm going to do is to install the propeller shaft from the transfer case to the rear differential. So now that I have this side in, I'm going to just install one bolt here to make sure that I have everything lined up nicely. Then I'll install the center bolts. I want to show you what it looks like on this side. All right, so over here, I'm going to install this in there so I can tighten everything together. Remember, I've not really tightened any bolt now. Everything is just hand tightened. So I'm going to get this in there. Now, the way this works, you've got to tip it back and it'll go right in. Push it back a little bit. Now, we just need to line it up, but that's going to be easy. We can just turn this. And so I'm shaking the propeller shaft. Go back to the other side of the rear differential and snug the bolts down. I'm not tightening them, just snug them down. Then I'll do the center differential. Then I'll come back here and start tightening the torque. Okay, so let's do that. All right, now time to tighten these ones here. Center bearing bolts. How this one feels. Let's see, I might have to clean the threads. Now I'm going to do the side that goes into the transfer case. And then I'll tighten all of them to torque spec. All right, so these go in, these torque to 40 Newton meters and then a 90-degree turn. And 40 Newton meters are around 29.5 foot-pounds. So we're going to do this to about 30 foot-pounds, okay? And then we'll do a 90-degree turn on them. So I have the propeller shaft on the side of the rear differential. I have a counter hold. Let me show you guys the counter hold. There's a counter hold right here. So once I start turning, the other side is going to wedge against the vehicle and lock up so I can tighten the other side to torque spec. So let's do that. But that's okay. Everything here is tightened now. Now, I'm going to go to that side. That side is also the same torque spec, 40 Newton meters or 30 foot-pounds. Okay, it's locked up now, so we should be able to get this tightened to spec. So now I need to tighten these also to spec. These are also the same, 40 Newton meters. No, I did not find a torque spec for the center bolt, so I'm just going to use the same torque spec for it. Okay, same torque spec, 40 Newton meters. Next, I'm going to put a heat shield on. Just put in the other small bolt in to hold down the exhaust. I just need to tighten out these studs, threaded studs. Just doing the studs now. Okay. All right, everything's installed now. So next we need to install the exhaust. I'm going to get some help to do that, obviously. Yeah, so we're getting there. And this is how I sign off in part 4. See you in part 5.